Hey, WellSpring. A few weeks ago, Andy gave a message in our Stuck series about purity and sexuality, and we had a response card for you guys where you could check if you needed help, some resources for that, if your marriage needed help. And then there was a box for if you needed help talking to your kids or teens about sex, being safe on the internet. And so I've done a little bit of research and come up with some resources for you guys, and just wanted to give you a short review on some of the things that I've found. There'll be links in the email with this video where you can buy these resources, and also some websites, some apps for you guys to check out. So I'm just going to run through these for a couple minutes, and hopefully they'll be helpful to you. Our goal here is to help equip you guys to be the main disciplers of your kids. And that sounds churchy, but basically you guys showing them how God wants them to live in this world. And so that's the gist of it. And so I'm going to just run through these with you, and I really do hope they're helpful for you. The first set of books that I want to talk with you guys about is about how to talk to your kids about this idea of sex and kind of where babies come from and all of that. There is a great set of books. The covers are kind of but can't judge a book by its cover, apparently so. And you can find these on Amazon. It's a series called God's Design for Sex. The first one is The Story of Me, and right here it says from ages 3 to 5. This is a great book that just basically talks about marriage and kind of how people come together and start a family. One of the great things about this book is it uses the real names for body parts. Anybody that will talk to you about sexual abuse prevention will tell you one of the first steps is having the kids know their bodies and things like that. I read through this. It's nothing that you need to feel embarrassed reading with your kids. There's a section in the front for parents. Make sure you check that out if you're going to go this route. The second book that is in this series is Before I Was Born. This one is a little more graphic. Graphic not in the terms of pictures or graphic in the terms of crass, but it's just a little more direct. And it says here it's for ages 5 to 8. You know your kid. I'd probably wait till about 6 to 8. But great book, great information. It talks from everything about how husbands and wives have a sexual relationship and then babies being born, and even has some stuff in there about breastfeeding, all of that. Completely appropriate and really gentle, and so I think this is a great one. The next two books in this series I haven't finished completely, but I'm working through them. This one I'm almost done with. It's What's the Big Deal? And it's for ages 8 to 11. And it kind of starts out with some basic questions about sex. It talks about words they might hear and what that means. And then the last one is for ages 11 to 14, and it's Facing the Facts. This is probably the most scientific of the books. It talks about puberty, actually lists like the anatomy and gets kind of really in the particulars about how it all works. So this would be a good one if you have older kids, but check those out. Now, if you're overwhelmed by all of that, in the email, I have added an attachment. They're called phase maps, and there's 3 of them. And I'll kind of show it for you right now. There's a sexual integrity phase map, a technological responsibility phase map, which we'll talk about in a minute, and an authentic faith phase map. And so it's a PDF, and you can print it out. I'm going to hold it in front of my face right here. But it starts with the ages, and it says 0 to 1. Right here, and kind of tells you to introduce them to their body, and then it has just a few sentences here about ways that you can start, and then it goes 1 to 2, and so on up through the ages. So download this, maybe have you and your spouse look at it together and start implementing some of these things, even if you're not ready for the books. But the books are really good. I encourage you to check those out. I will be reading them with my kids when they're old enough. The second thing is the internet piece, the technological responsibility piece of that. Over the last week, when I was looking at different sites and resources, one of the things that a lot of the psychologists suggest is actually talking to your kids about pornography even before you talk to them about sex. I know it seems backwards and crazy, but I have some resources for you guys with that too. Just as I mentioned before, the phase maps has a technological responsibility one, which tells you at what ages you can say what about pictures on their, if they have a phone or a friend shows them something. I bought a book called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. And again, this cover makes me laugh, but it's very, very good. There's a section in the front for parents. You need to read that before jumping into the book. But this is written like a children's book for you to read with your kids. And then one of the best things about this book is it actually gives tools on, okay, so now we know there's things we shouldn't look at, but what does your kid do if and when something is brought towards them? We can't avoid that. We can't put our kids in a bubble. Nothing we can do can shield them from that. So giving them tools on, if a friend, neighbor, whoever shows me something I'm not supposed to see, what do I do? And this book has a great little acronym for them that's completely developmentally appropriate. Great book. I was expecting this to be cheesy, and it wasn't, and so check that out. And then there are two websites. There's a lot of websites, actually, about keeping your kids safe online. The best two that I found was protectyoureyes.com. And if you go to that, there's several resources and tools that you guys can work through as a family. And then parentswhofight.com. And so you guys can look at that. On both of those websites, there's even more resources. There's apps for how to track what messages and things come in on your kids' phones. There's reviews of apps. So if your kids say have an app on their phone, you can know what it is. There's text lingo, all this stuff that's there to help you. And I could spend hours going through all of that with you. But those are just the top things that I felt like, okay, you guys could do this right now to help protect your kids. And so check the links to purchase the books from Amazon, or check the website links. We are looking forward to having some sort of maybe roundtable or workshop in the fall, but we didn't want to wait until then to get you guys these resources. So I hope it's helpful. I'm praying for you guys. I know this is not fun. I had a conversation the other day with somebody who has an 8-year-old, and they were saying they're going to wait until their kids are older to talk about that. And if I could tell you one thing, don't do that. You want them to hear it from you first. You need to be the one to give them the right information coming from the viewpoint of God. Not because God does not want them to have fun, or he's old, not cool and relevant and all that, but God wants to protect us, and his design for sexuality and all that is perfect. And even though the world is maybe now telling us that it's backwards or not realistic, his way is best. And so I want to help you guys help your kids with that. So have a good day.